Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We are working on getting our infamy down and our bureaucracy up. Hey, go to a track. Alright, so, once again, next thing on the docket is we're going to grab Mexico. Ooh, we got an election popping off. Uruguayan mass immigration, cool. Just Indies colonized. And this number should be sorting itself out within a reasonable time frame. Still. Okay. O City of Plenty. The most prominent members of Michigan high society have been seen organizing luxurious parties in the new and lavish urban buildings. Marble walls, shimmering stone, the noise of people coming and going brings the city back to life when we didn't even know it was dead. Tall buildings cover the sunset, kids play with bricks, smoke blends with the clouds, and a distant bell announces the next train. Progress is coming. So, let's take a look at the upper class in Michigan. They are wealthy, their minimum expected is secure, so if their minimum expected goes up by 3, that shouldn't create a problem whatsoever. Once again, this is the event where the two options are let them celebrate for 10% loyalism in the upper and middle strata, or the party will never end for 20%, or 25%, but minimum expected standard of living for the upper strata. I'm going to go with that second one. Alright, so the thing we got on the docket for today is we're going to get our infamy down, and we're not going to go after Mexico yet, because I want to get multilateral alliances before I do that. Automatic machine guns going to make my armies significantly stronger, which is important. Very respectable period in history to be getting the automatic machine gun in 1896. So for now, let me see. Ooh. Friends abroad. While campaigning for additional support, Agatha Reynolds pointed to Paraguay as an example of how the Free Trade Party would strengthen ties. The essence of trade is simple. One party has something the other party needs, and will give it on the basis of mutual exchange. Most commonly, a book for a book, a meal for a meal, a favor for a favor. Less commonly, and arguably more perilous, is the trade by which nations make human life for material wealth, otherwise known as economics. So once again, just to review, Free Trade Party is just the Petite Bourgeoisie right now. And the Republican Party is the industrialists, the armed forces, the rural folk, and the intelligentsia. So, we welcome our friends from Paraguay, 10% momentum for the free traders, improves relations by 15. She must have a factory there, reduce momentum for the free traders. Or, if Reynolds loves Paraguay so much, you should live there. 70% chance of deteriorating relations and salty petite bourgeoisie, 20% chance of 20% momentum for the free traders, 10% chance of her actually doing it and getting exiled. That's extremely funny. That's very funny. I'm just going to say she must have a factory there. No, I'll welcome our friends from Paraguay. I think giving the free traders a little bit more momentum is not that big of a deal. They're not a problem party, but we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to leave the Republicans in charge, I think, because they're going to have a huge, overwhelming majority of the vote, and they're a better party than ever to be in charge. I still got a little bit of a shortage of bureaucracy, so let's go ahead and keep piling up more bureaucracy in Pennsylvania. Actually, no. We'll do some in New York. We'll do another 5 levels in New York. And there's the automatic machine gun. Alright, beautiful. So, before I forget, let's go to our military and we'll enable that machine gun mobilization option for all of our armies. And that'll be just fine. So, these will get done. And then bureaucracy go up. Please? Please? More bureaucracy? Tasty, tasty bureaucracy? Beautiful. Alright, that should solve our money problem. That said, that's not as big of an increase as I was hoping for. So let's throw another 5 levels in California, just to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. And we're going to see how this election goes. I will probably So let me see. What kind of timeline are we looking at? 9 weeks for camera. Alright, so then once... And then it'll be another, like, year and a half for multilateral alliances, I'm hoping. And my hope is that at that point, we'll just go ahead and... we'll be done with knocking down our infamy, and we'll be able to go after Mexico. Kazembe uprising in Britain, that doesn't need to affect me. Colombia is a protectorate. Their liberty desire is going down. I do want to try and reduce Colombian liberty desire once we've gotten to a point where I can. Reduce their autonomy once I've gotten to the point where I can. Venezuela I could also, but I can't do both. Alright, so Richard Whitcomb's presidency has ended. The new president is Patrick Cameron of the Republican Party, because Richard Whitcomb is now the head of the Free Trade Party instead. So, we'll just go ahead and throw... Let me see, 85%. That's interesting. That's what happens when you lose the votes. So Patrick Whitcomb is a Democrat and the head of the Armed Forces, who are the primary party of... who are the primary interest group of the Republican Party. That's interesting. I guess I have been doing a large military expansion, so that's kind of to be expected. Teddy Roosevelt's still heading up the industrialists. Yep, looking good, looking good. So, any changes? Kind of where I want to be, finances-wise. I could take the plunge and go to commercialized agriculture. That would strengthen the industrialists significantly, but I think the yeoman farmers are still currently... The balance of power with the yeoman farmers is doing just fine. Do I go to protected speech? What's the benefit? Increased text spread, that doesn't help me. Reduced leverage resistance, that doesn't help me either. So no, I don't do that. I don't want to piss off my petite bourgeoisie that much. Well, of course, now I've got a bunch of bureaucracy left to play with. Alright, yeah, I don't think there's any additional things to do. I could go to private schools, but I think I'll hold out on that until the industrialists demand it. Because I think they're like to demand it pretty soon. Missile pool's pretty large. They're building successfully, but I'm just trying to make sure I don't get into too much debt here, because my debt limit is very high, but my amount of debt, my current amount of debt is also extremely high. How did the petit bourgeois become powerful again? Gosh darn it. Those nerds. Alright. So, camera should be finishing up. Ooh, I can get my, my legitimacy buff. That'll be nice. Netherlands sides with Sulu over this thing. Empire of Japan sides with France. German Empire sides with Sulu. Oh man! Oh, hold on. We might be about to do a general European war here. So, but what if? And hear me out. I think. What about the American yesterdays? I think I am actually going to join this war on the side of the French. What's this war actually about? Before okay, so they're trying to steal Sulu from the Netherlands. Okay, so Sulu, which is just these islands here. Because France has already taken this, the rest of Sulu's starting territory. Alright, so if I think actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask for the transfer of Uruguay. And that is going to make Western Hemisphere integrity much more substantial. I'm going to raise all my conscripts. I'm going to need these conscripts to defeat Germany. But happily, we've got a land front. So, where do we want our armies? I'm going to put the Army of the Pacific Coast I'm definitely going to invade Uruguay. So, let's go ahead and put the Army of the Great Plains in Guyana to be ready to make that happen. I think we'll put the regular army on the German-French border. I think we'll put the Army of Observation on the German-French border. Can I get another leader? I cannot. Alright, well, you're going to get a promotion, sir. I'm going to rename the Army of Florida the Dixie Army. There we go. And then, where do I want the Army of the Pacific Coast? I think I want the Army of the Pacific Coast on the border over here as well. So what do I need to make sure I protect, though? Brunei and Aceh. Right, Brunei. Got it. They're gonna turn North Borneo into Brunei, and Aceh into Aceh. So I think defending Aceh is gonna be my best bet. So I'll put the Army of the Pacific Coast actually over there. And that'll be just fine. Because as long as my East Coast is solid, I don't think there's going to be a problem. Excellent. And this long delay in mobilization will be extremely useful to me, because it will let me get as many of my troops mobilized as I can get mobilized. And that'll be real good. Radio production. The production of radios in our factories has led to a boom in employment and profit. Telephones? No. Who wants a telephone? One person talks to another person? Useless. What you want is a radio. One person talks to hundreds, nay thousands. And the best part, they can't talk back. More radios. Heck yes. Give me all those radios. Reactionary revolt in Australia. Can't really handle this at the same time. Sulu backs down. Did I get Uruguay? I did not get Uruguay. Well, that's a crying shame. On the plus side, though... can't do any of this stuff. Let's improve relations with Australia, why don't we? Australia is an independent nation. We'll improve relations with them. Alright, so that... So Sulu just bailed. That is a shame, because I really, really wanted Uruguay together with the ability to bring France and Germany. Although, I suppose, if I make a play for Uruguay, I can get the French in by promising them Alsace-Lorraine, which I would almost assuredly be able to take under those circumstances. So, you know, there's definitely options. There's definitely options. Alright. Meanwhile, so working on this. Obviously, I would love to get Venezuela and Colombia down below. Cuba. So their liberty desire is going down. Cuba is currently defiant, even though I'm improving relations. Sad, but it is what it is. Mosquito reactionary revolt. That's interesting. So that's this territory here. Curious. Austria sides with Luxembourg. That doesn't really... against socialism in Luxembourg. Students rally to the labor movement. A group of students attending the university in Illinois have arranged a demonstration in support of the labor movement. The display has inspired other students to join the cause. The lecture hall was barren. There are always one or two students missing for illnesses, travel, or family occasions, but nothing of this scale. There were 3 or 4 students per row, each thrown into sharp contrast by the empty seats to their sides. It was material for a lecture of its own, he thought, like a heap of sand whose grains had blown away one after another, until its form suddenly changed, so followed what had once been a class. So this is the labor movement. The youth will lead the United States of America, reduce university throughput, increase pop strength for all pops in Illinois, 10% stronger labor movement, or they ought to focus on their studies. Half those modifiers and 5% of academics pops become radical. I'm going to do the first one. That seems fine. A strong labor movement. What could go wrong with that? They're happy. We've got poor laws. Oh, that's fun. So, one other thing. Louisiana. You're doing a cooperative ownership, and that's not the type of capitalism that I like. So, time for you to go to laissez-faire. They've refused. Well, that's a shame. That's a crying shame. Well, not sure what to do about that, but I'm not going to do anything about it right now, that's for sure. I got other fish to fry, like Colombia. We're getting there. We're very slowly getting there. Just so you got to keep an eye on Cuba. I can't do too much like aggression in Cuba's general vicinity, or else my relationship with them will go down, and then their liberty desire will start going up. Hopefully the next time... Well, no, because I'm going to go after Mexico, and that's going to put my liberty desire, their liberty desire, rather, through the roof. I got 15 more months, which should be about the amount of time it takes for this to tick down to 0. Maybe a little bit. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer to get to 0 infamy. I have to say, the tick down in standard of living has not created a giant pile of radicals the way I was thinking it might. Which is curious, but I am pleased with that outcome. Let's go ahead and start improving relations with Mexico so that when the time comes, they won't be so very salty at us about everything. We're almost finished improving relations with the French. And this is a communist revolt in Jamaica. Alright, interesting. We'll just go ahead and mobilize the Army of Observation for that. Not a big deal. Don't need to worry too much about that. We'll bring our fleet in to support a naval invasion. Obviously, the economy is not growing as fast as it could be with me not investing in new stuff, but I've got to get my debt dealt with. Alright, finish improving relations with France. I do need more coal. A bunch of my subjects are still using... No, it's trade routes. It's mostly trade routes. That's bananas. That is bananas. I need to get the technology that increases my bureaucracy so that I can find a use for all these telephones to make my my radios more profitable. I'm going to build up some some coal mines in Louisiana and some tooling factories as well. They definitely got the infrastructure to handle it, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Investment pool is still going up, which is good. Although they're not using quite as much of the construction queue as I would like them to be using. But it is what it is. Do we have a negative... Oh, their independence is supported by Canada. How very curious. I wonder if that means Canada will side against me. I don't think they will. Because they're a colony, they don't have diplomatic independence. So what do I want to do tech-wise after multilateral alliances? Wow, a lot of colonization happening over there. So I think after multilateral alliances, I think I circle back to production and grab the combustion engine and the steam turbine. Because steam turbine's going to make my whole, situation with, plastics would be really good. Steam turbine's going to make my power plants profitable, and that's very important long term. Ooh, another war. This one, a socialist revolt in Ecuador. I don't think I'm going to have... I think I'm going to be able to naval invade the West Indies before dealing with that without having a single solitary problem. So that's what I'm going to do. Because it doesn't look like there's actually a force mobilized over here. Which means I'll be able to get wherever I want to go real fast and do whatever I want to do real easy. And then I can just use the Army of Observation over here in Ecuador. There it goes. Beautiful. And you can just go to this front, and then we'll all be in Scotland at the same time. It says my naval invasion failed, but I don't see a Jamaican communist revolt anymore, so make of that what you will. I do want to go to Scotland eventually, but I don't necessarily want to keep picking on the British because they're not a giant superpower anymore. No. No, Peru, Bolivia, I don't want a trade agreement with you. I am damaging our relations. I don't want slowly ticking up relations with Peru, Bolivia at a time when I am trying to get my relations with Peru, Bolivia down. That would just be silly. Communist revolt in Uruguay. I once again have a chance to get them on my side. That would mean putting off my war with Mexico, though. Can I get a protectorate? I cannot. So let's not worry about it. Your time will come, Uruguay. Be you rest assured, your time will come. And by your time, Uruguay, I really mean your time, Germany, because it's really Germany having control over Uruguay that's the problem. I know it's taken me an embarrassing amount of time to get the Mosquito Kingdom dealt with, but, you know, it is what it is. I wonder if I still got this tiny chunk of Denmark. Should conquer Greek sides with Russia against the Ottomans. Alright. New neighbors, new grudges. A minority group of Armenians is recently settled in the state of Illinois. For this event, I'm going to keep saying foster harmony. A small bump of radicals is not going to create a problem for me. So what's this about? Greece wants to conquer Thessalia. Here. I don't really have an objection to that. Britain sides with the Ottomans. But not my business. The Devil's Paintbrush. General Benedict Peabody's use of dedicated machine gun teams in the Ecuadorian Socialist Revolt versus Ecuador War has yielded advantageous results on the field of battle, leaving full platoons of enemies dead before they've even reached our lines. If anyone had told me that it would be possible to make a gun that would pull a cartridge belt into position, pull a loaded cartridge out of it, move it in front of the barrel, thrust it into the barrel, close the barrel in a proper manner, cock the hammer, pull the trigger, fire off the cartridge, extract the empty shell and throw it out of the mechanism, feed a new cartridge into position, and do all of these things in a tenth of a second, I would not have believed it. But now I've seen it done with my own eyes. Whatever happens, we have got the Maxim gun and they have not. 20% extra defense for Benedict Peabody for 2 years. Or Benedict Peabody's mastery of this tool is unparalleled. He gets Stalwart Defender. I'm going to go with the second one. Longer-term bonuses are almost always preferable to shorter-term ones. I think I'm not going to get involved in this situation because I have my ambitions on Mexico. Oh, Austria sides with Russia. Oh, man. I can't believe it. They're doing a general European war without me. But I've just got to get Mexico. That's the situation. I've just got to do it. Are you guys not attacking? You are attacking. Okay, no, the battles are happening. Battles are happening here. It's just taking me a little longer than I thought. That's a cool flag you've got, Ecuador. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased with my tiny friends in South America. How's the power block doing? Power block's looking pretty cohesive. Looking pretty cohesive indeed. Loving that. Feeling very pleased about that. Alright, so it's 6 more months until we got multilateral alliances. And then we'll go after Mexico. You know, but it'll be about a year from now when my infamy gets to 0, but I might have a little leeway. I might be able to... I could stand having infamy above 50 for just a little bit. That wouldn't be too much of a problem. Except for Cuba. Stupid Cuba. Freaking trying to become a trying to become a dominion. Stupid dominion. In fact, if taking over Mexico impacts my relations with Peru, Bolivia, I might actually not even need to exile Peru, Bolivian diplomats. So that'd be fun as well. Alright, here we go. Britain and the Ottomans versus Russia, Prussia, Russia, Austria, and Greece. That'll be fun. There's no more Prussia in the world. Alright, I'm going to quickly ignore the rest of these diplomatic plays. None of these are in areas that impact me. This is Johor. There was one in, I think, Kathiri, and this is Jabal Shamar. I technically have interests in a bunch of areas overseas, but I don't actually have any, like... How do I say this? I don't have, I have a lot of interests overseas, but I'm not actually interested. It's just for the sake of polite international policy that I maintain that I do theoretically care about all those places. I actually might have a bunch more interests to declare now. Nope, I didn't. I don't. Interesting. Maybe No. I need to exercise some freaking self-restraint. I've got a lot of infamy decay, and if I can just get my infamy decay big enough to take over Mexico, it'll be just fine. It's 13 more weeks here. Let's see how the war in Europe is going. We got some battles kicked off. Ottomans are winning over here. British are losing over here. Oh, nope, they're winning. And then British are losing here. So yeah, so it's a process. They're shooting at each other. Radical revolt in Shan. Interesting. But certainly not my business. I can't even get there. I'm not going to start improving relations with Bengal right now. A modernist revolt in Honduras. Interesting. Let's go ahead and send the Army of Observation to deal with the situation. And then once that finishes, we'll go after Mexico, and maybe by then, our infamy will have ticked all the way down to 0 just by the passage of time. But I don't think so. This isn't going to take too long to get going. We only got 6 weeks left over. Johorian uprising in the Dutch East Indies. Man, things are just going absolutely buck wild in Johor, I gotta say. This is Tahitian proletarian revolts. Can't be bothered, that's an internal French matter, TBH vac. And relations with Mexico are getting up there. I don't know that it'll matter, because being at war takes down your relations pretty fast. But hopefully, this war with Mexico will not actually go for too long. Am I on the modern port method? I should be. Oh my goodness. Exile from Canada, that's wild. Oh, I forgot to go to camera. Photographic art! I'm so smart. Oh, I'm so good at things. I don't have modern ports, because I don't have concrete dockyards yet. I guess it is only the 1890s. The very, very end of the 19th century. The closing years of the 19th century. So I suppose I don't theoretically need them. Alright, so there's multilateral alliances. So now that I got minus 25% infamy generation, make protection in Mexico. Actually, I can do it right now. Let's do it. Doesn't look like anyone's going to stand against me on this. Let's do it. Beautiful. So, I'm going to mobilize. I'm going to do a full mobilization. But I'm not going to raise any of my conscripts because I don't think I need them. So, Army of the Pacific Coast can go to the northern border. Army of the Great Plains can go to the northern border. Dixie Army can go to the southern border. And an Army of New England, no, regular Army can go to the southern border. And then we'll set our strategic objective as Mexico City. And that'll be just fine. And nobody will get involved. Sadly, it hasn't decayed my relations with Peru, Bolivia at all. Oh, it has decayed my relations with Mexico. That's a crying shame. Oh my goodness. Anything else I want to throw in on here before things get kicked off? War reparations just seems silly at this point. Treaty port's not useful. Forced nationalization, they barely own anything in the country. Liberate Rio Grande, not useful. I don't want to steal any states because I don't want to make them necessarily weaker than they already are. So yeah, we'll just leave things right where they are. And the modernist revolt in Honduras. This is a shame because having a modernist revolt is like modernism is a good ideology. It would be cool if their revolt were doing better, but it's aren't. Now Mexico is an oligarchic presidential republic, so it's gonna tank my cohesion for a little bit. For my power block, but that's not necessarily an issue. I'll have the ability to continue to work against them there we go, beautiful. I'll have the ability to win, to rework their government in good time, frankly. So that'll be nice. I should be able to get them over to universal suffrage, and that shouldn't take too long. Who do you have in the government, Mexico? Petite Bourgeoisie, Armed Forces, Catholic Church. It's not ideal. But it could be a lot worse. Alright, we are actually over time right now. But I'll go till the war kicks off, and then we'll actually fight the war in the next episode. Let's take a quick look at what Europe is doing. Looks like the British and Ottomans are losing they're losing over here, but they're pressing forward over here. So they're losing they're winning in the Caucasus and losing in the Carpathians. So it's still anyone's guess. Alright, 2 arms. Guatemala's in default. Guatemala. Where are you? Guatemala. Give me your debt. Alright. Alright, force comparisons are looking good over here, so I'm feeling reasonably confident. But that is all the time we've got for this episode. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I'll see you on the other side.